Hi, I'm Rima E. Lebo, MD, and I'm the Medical Director of the Natural Solutions Foundation, talking to you today from Dusseldorf, Germany, where I am attending, along with General Burt, the 31st session of the Codex Alimentarius Committee on Nutrition and Foods for Special Dietary Uses. Now, that committee, which is chaired by Rolf Grossklaus, about whom you may have heard over the last several years, has a tremendous impact on the health of the most vulnerable citizens of the world. Because Codex, while it's a voluntary system, is in fact a World Trade Organization that countries fear not to go along with. And so the United States has the opportunity to serve the interests of the corporate masters that set U.S. foreign policy: big pharma, big chema, big agribiz, big biotech, and of course, big medica. One of the strands of activity that's been going on for years in Codex, many years, is to decrease nutrients to the point where people have chronic undernutrition, which is great for the pharmaceutical industry because people will develop cancer, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, stroke, obesity, and all of the diseases that come from those conditions. The World Health Organization calls those the non-communicable, preventable diseases of undernutrition. And then Codex sets up international mandated undernutrition. People get sick, people are good customers for the illness care industry, and then people die. If you're a genocidalist and a pharmaceutical industrialist at the same time, of course that's kind of just what you want. Dr. Grossklaus is involved in the world mind transition of nutrients as essential for human life to nutrients as toxins. Well, that transition is reaching a new height today. A little bit of background. In the United States, in 1994, the United States Congress was getting ready to remove everyone's access to high-potency nutrients. And the people of the United States remembered that pushback works, and they started to push back. And they hooted and they hollered and they came to Washington by bus and they sent millions of letters and they said to Congress, "Don't you dare." And the U.S. Congress said, "Oh, were we planning to take away your nutrients? No, 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 no. Dietary supplements, herbs, similar products are foods, and as foods you can have as much of them as you like." And the law that came out of that pushback was called Desha, the Dietary Supplements Health and Education Act. Now Desha says you can have any dose of vitamin C or vitamin B or an herb that you want because it's a food, and as a food its dosage is not regulated. There is no dosage for food. The United States is the only high-potency country in the world. Codex Alimentarius is determined to take away high-potency rights. And you must remember that the FDA has said that they will harmonize with Codex even if it violates U.S. law. So, today at the Codex meeting, day one of the 31st session of the Committee on Nutrition and Foods for Special Dietary Uses, a very interesting little bit of theater took place. The characters of the theater are Basil Mathodakis, who is the representative of the European Community, and Rolf Grossklaus, who is the chairman of the committee, and the representative of the United States, Barbara Schneemann, and Canada's representative. And here's how the theater of the absurd, which is designed to take away your right to high-potency nutrients went today. First, the issue on the agenda is the setting of upper limits for nutrients. Foods will be fortified, and there will be an upper limit that is permitted. That upper limit has to be so low that no one can experience any kind of harm, which is now defined as any kind of biological activity. So high potency becomes ultra, ultra low potency for various nutrients that are permitted, and all other nutrients will be forbidden. Now we have the recommended limits for nutrients, and Canada puts in a CRD, a conference room document, that says all foods, baby foods and all other foods, have to have upper limits on their nutrients. So they have to have a limit on the number of any nutrient dose that somebody might ingest. And Basil Mathodakis says, well, I'm a little confused here. Does that apply to infant food? It says infant food has to have these dietary upper limits. Does that apply to baby food? And the suddenly very amiable chairman, Dr. Grossklaus, says, well, no, probably not, because after all, babies don't understand the limits that are set on their nutritional substances. A piece of illogic which was hard to follow, but he seemed to be enjoying himself. And then Dr. Mathodakis says, well, what about dietary supplements? Are dietary supplements covered by this series of upper limits? And Canada says, well, could be. We hadn't really thought about that. And the United States says, could be. We hadn't really thought about that. And then they go round and round, and it's all very stilted and very strange. And I was listening, and General Burt was listening, and we were saying, oh, there's something afoot here. This is not normal interplay. And at the end of the little charade of allegedly spontaneous interaction, it had been decided between Canada, the United States, Rolf Grossklaus, and Basil Mathodakis, as if no one else were in the room, that yes, indeedy, this does apply to dietary supplements. And what you have here is the playing field laid out to end high-potency nutrients. Now, why would someone want to end access on a global basis to high-potency nutrients? Simple. If you have enough nutrients available to you, whether it's vitamin D to protect you from all kinds of infections, including the swine flu, then you're not going to need expensive, dangerous drugs, because most likely you're not going to be sick. And if you then are not getting sick, and you're not even coming close to dying, how then are you supporting the pharmaceutical industry and the genocidal plan? So what you have here was the beginning of the next phase of the campaign to eliminate high-potency nutrients. We're not going to allow that to happen. This is Rima E. Lebo, MD, reporting from Dusseldorf, Germany, on the 31st session of the Codex Committee on Nutrition and Foods for Special Dietary Uses. Stay tuned. More to come.